Endless Hustle is presented by Routine. Routine helps you unlock optimal health and daily performance by leveraging AI, in-home testing, and the latest in digital health tools to create a completely personalized micronutrient formula full of vitamins, minerals, and specialty compounds precisely dosed for your body based on your unique DNA, blood tests, and lifestyle habits. The process is simple, and thousands of members are choosing Routine and reporting results like more energy, better stress management, improved mental clarity, and more. Visit routine.co to join. All right, it is a great day on the Endless Hustle as I'm joined by the man that my mother and my stepmother are obsessed with. And actually, you're kind of my man crush too, Lior Raz, because Fauda is one of my favorite shows. You've got this incredible new series, Hit and Run, coming out on Netflix. And you've got possibly the best scowl in the business, the best serious look in the business.
Yeah, that's me, man. But thank you so much. Send hi to your mom and your stepmom, right?
Yep.
Both of them. And yeah, thanks so much. Thank you for Fauda is one is a show. It's a show that we just on Netflix, going to be the fourth season very soon. I'm so happy that you love it.
So I was just talking with a friend of mine who's also the rep for Netflix for the show. And I interviewed you at the 6 Underground premiere, which you're also in with Ryan Reynolds. Had no idea about Fauda at that point. And then afterwards, I was like, fuck, I wish I knew. I would have asked him all these Fauda questions. But let's start with Hit and Run. Congrats, brilliant series. I talked to Sanaa Lathan a couple weeks ago about it. What's everybody getting with this series? Let's get the plug-in going.
So first of all, it's a show. It's about a man, very handsome man. No, I'm just kidding. A man that his wife, she's dying in a car accident, hit and run accident in Israel. And he needs to find out who killed her and why did they do it. And he have like two journeys, this character named Segev. One of them is like very, action-driven journey to find out who killed her, protect his family. But the other thing that he have, it's another journey, it's an emotional journey to understand if she really loved him and why did she do everything that she did for him. I cannot say a lot, and also it's about trust. It's a show about trust between people, between friends, between men and women, wives and husband, countries, friendly countries, Israel and the US. So who you can trust, who's the person that you believe in and everything that he says. So I think this is all about trust, but it's a lot of action. It's a lot of suspense, and it's a lot of like twists and turns. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Have you seen it?
Yes, I saw it. I loved it. It actually has a very Fauda-like feel to it with just, you have no idea what anybody's intentions are. The action is top notch. And as we joked at the top of this interview, your serious face is in full effect. The scowl is in full effect. So no, I absolutely loved it. And I was telling Sanaa a couple weeks ago, I think people are going to really enjoy this series.
Thanks. I hope so.
All right. So you've got this fascinating story, which I had no idea about until prepping for this interview. Obviously, you're now one of the biggest stars in Israel. Fauda has become a sensation over there. But you actually started as a young kid. You enroll in the IDF, which for those who don't know is pretty much the religion of Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces. You then become a bodyguard for Natasha Kinski and Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver. I want to talk all about this journey. First of all, the IDF. What was it like being part of the IDF? Because Americans will never understand what the military means to Israel.
So first of all, when I grew up, my father was in the army, my mom was in the army. It's mandatory in Israel. You have to be in the army to serve. Men for 3 years, women now 2.5 or 3 years as well. So it's mandatory. You have to be there. You have to choose what you're going to do. So in the beginning, I really wanted to go to the IDF theater. There is option to be an actor in the IDF, to go to all the soldiers everywhere, and you have plays and music and stuff like that. But I decided in the end of the day to volunteer to be in the special forces in Israel. It's as undercover in a very. It's the special forces everywhere in the world. You understand what it means. And so it wasn't easy. In the beginning, I thought that I'm going to be James Bond, but I was totally wrong, different. You have to do what you have to do because this is your country and you have to protect your country and you have to protect your family in the end of the day. And then when I left the army, when I finished the army after 3 years, I went to LA to find out, I don't know, some adventures. And I was finding myself, listen, it's not a big deal. It was just, to be at their homes with their families, with their kids. I wasn't like, it wasn't like in the movie Bodyguard, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I came from the idea from I did crazy things over there. So to come to LA, to sit in these mansions, it was quite boring.
So yeah. I've heard from Navy SEALs what the entrance courses are like, let's call them. What is it like? Obviously, it's mandatory to go into the IDF, but as they're training you, what is some of the crazy shit you have to go through to become your version of the Navy SEALs over there?
Yeah. So I think it's like you have a year and a half of hard training until you are a warrior. You're not, until a year and a half of hard training, you start like many soldiers and you end with like very few, because everyone in the middle, you just want to go home. You don't want to stay there. It's so hard. Just for example, there was, now they don't do it, but in my days when I was younger, it was, I think that there was a month and a half, like 6 weeks, that we slept every night 3 minutes.
What?
And during those 3 minutes, we have to, to guard. So everyone guarded for like half a minute, and then the other one to sleep. It was crazy. Everyone were hallucinating. It was, but yeah, this is how you find out who's the best and who wants to go home and quit. So I say it.
So at what point do you make the decision? You come over, you do the bodyguard thing for celebrities, you then return to Israel. At what point do you make the decision, all right, I'm done with military and bodyguarding, and I actually want to go into the arts full time?
So it was a coincidence, actually, because I worked in the high-tech industry in Israel, like a technology company. I was the head of, I was very successful as a businessman. I was the head of the branch of Jerusalem in a very big company, communication company. And one morning, I met this amazing woman named Katya. And she looked at me and she said, Lior, why you were so sad when you go to work? And I said, I'm not sad, everything is perfect. And she said, no, I see in your eyes that you're sad. And I told her, what do you want from me? She said, listen, if I'll give you $1 billion, what would you do with your life? And I told her, for sure, I'm going to be an actor. So then she told me, listen, it was like yellow pages. She opened the yellow pages. She said, this is the best art school in Israel, the acting school. Let's call them now. We called them. 2 weeks later, I was there. So it was all because of her.
So at that point, is it in Israel, is it like America where you have to be a struggling actor forever until you kind of have your big break, which obviously Fauda ended up being your really big break?
Yeah, I think actors everywhere in the world are struggling because it's very hard. There's very hard competition. So few, very succeeding what they're doing. And for me, I was number 2 all the time, like the second choice. I was auditioning every time and they said, oh, it's you or the other one. And it was all the time was the other one. So I decided for my ego that I need to be successful in other fields. I cannot just stay an actor. So I was a creative director in a very big BBDO. It's a very publicity company in Israel. I was the head of creative director there. And I opened my own production company, was doing commercials till today. So I wanted to be successful. I sold one of my companies. I wanted to be successful in other fields in order to give my ego a little bit food, to the soul. And that's it. So when we decided to write Fauda, I did some, I was acting in movies and TV shows, but I wasn't like a superstar. Nobody, everybody knows me. It's like it was different. And when we started to write Fauda, we wrote it for me actually to be the role, the lead. And then when we started to cast, the head of content in Yes, the broadcaster told me that he's sorry, but they need A-list actor to lead the show. I wanted to kill him in the minute that I said it. And I told him, okay, let's have auditions. Just like bring all the A-listers in Israel and let's have auditions. So we made auditions. I got the role. I was okay there. So yeah, everything. And also in Hit and Run, it wasn't supposed to be me as Segeb. We wrote it to someone else. But then Netflix asked me to do that, and I'm so happy that they did, because it was like it's a gift for an actor, this role.
So when Fauda starts taking off, so I became aware of it after season 3, and then obviously I'm on a million group text chains. I'm like, who's seen Fauda? Best show on Netflix. Everybody starts watching it. Everybody falls in love with you, the character. People don't realize obviously everything going on in Israel and the Palestinian struggle, and obviously everything going on over there. At what point do you understand that that show is a hit and that it's exploding both in Israel and then once it hits Netflix?
So it was two things. First of all, when I in Israel, after the first episode, when it was released, I went to drink a beer in Jaffa at Friday in noon, and everybody is, all the people are there. And the police had to take me from there because everyone came at me. And this was the first time that I felt that there's a succession in Israel. But when I first came to LA, not to LA, to Miami first, I remember when I went to the immigration. So, as an Israeli, there is kind of interrogation, as you saw in Hit and Run. And, they ask you questions. Immediately, I feel that I'm that I did something, even though I didn't. And then there was a policewoman over there, and she looked at me, and I was scared because I saw her. She was staring at me. And then when I was the first in line, and she was free. And so I told the guy behind me, I said, "You can go. It's okay. You can be before me." And then she looked at me and said, "You come right here, right now." And I approached her, sweating, and she looked at me and she said, "When are you going to release the second season of Fauda?" I said, "What? Are you watching Fauda?" And she said, "Everybody here is watching Fauda." And then she said, "Look who's here. Doron is here. Doron is here," to all her friends over there. And I went to an Uber with an Indian person that he recognized my voice. I was talking to my Avi, my co-creator, my partner, and I thought he's doing an accident. He's like, Doron. And I said, do you know Fauda? I said, yeah, in India you are very big. And because of COVID now, I think Fauda became huge all over the world. It was like the thing that I'm very proud of. It was #1 in Lebanon, #2 in the UAE, #3 in India, in Argentina, top 10, in Europe, top 10, many countries. So for us, it was a blessing. And, it's became a big show. And now we have that show that we hope that it will be bigger or big as Fauda.
So you had mentioned Avi. Obviously, Avi is your Matt Damon to your Ben Affleck. You guys have this unique relationship.